that goal in mind of basically gun control. We did have up in Las Cruces, the Noniana County Commission, they voted down a resolution this past week that would have supported New Mexico's red flag laws, the proposed red flag laws. However, of course, red flag laws in general, also known as extreme risk protective orders, a few different ways that's referred to, they talked about as something where before something happens, going before a judge, or it takes a few different legal frameworks, but the idea is remove guns from the possession of someone who could be a risk to themselves or others. And that is, it takes a few different forms. Could involve having a judge, could involve police having probable cause. It's taken different forms around the country, and according to the Las Cruces Sun News, a packed house there at the county commissioner's court up there in that the room that they use for that packed house, largely against it. So that's kind of an interesting juxtaposition, particularly with Mike Bloomberg that was here in our area. What other significant change up happening this past week? We had the interim head of the Border Patrol here for the El Paso sector basically returning to their previous assignment now in California. BorderReport.com put together a good overview of the situation, because so we had previous head of the local Border Patrol office stepped down. That was the Chief Agent Aaron Hull. Well, rather reassigned to Detroit, but no specific explanation of why. And then we had Gloria Chavez step in as the interim head for the El Paso sector, now being reassigned, and it's not very clear just yet what will be happening next, who will be stepping in after that. Chavez had been getting some credit from some of the local organizations on rebuilding fractured relationships and things like that. This also significantly comes at basically the anniversary of the Remain in Mexico policy, the so-called migrant protection protocols. Been in place for about a year now. A lot of reporting going on that. Specifically, local agency, the Hope For Institute, putting together their latest Border Observatory report. Border Observatory 2020 Situation Report, Remain in Mexico, going through some of the data over the situation. They definitely go into the specifics, kind of timelines of how it really happened, and then giving some very significant numbers and some analysis of it as well, such as the fact that Juarez, which has been, for anyone coming to our sector, where the Remain in Mexico policy has been enacted, not having significant services available for refugees or any of those kind of populations there, and that they have the people who have been waiting in Mexico for that policy have been targeted to a certain extent. Also, some of the numbers on where the sources of people who have been subject to the Remain in Mexico policy, the migrant protection protocols, most of them coming from countries like Honduras, Guatemala, and Cuba, and then also kind of going down the sliding scale here, El Salvador, Ecuador, then Venezuela, Nicaragua, and then Colombia and Peru are some of the least ones. And then much less than that coming also from other countries such as Mexico, Uruguay, Spain, Chile, Costa Rica, dozens of them on that list there. And of course, this past week we had the expansion of the Remain in Mexico policy to include Brazilians as well. And statements coming out both from Congresswoman Veronica Escobar and El Paso Bishop Mark Seitz, basically in opposition to this. Mark Seitz saying specifically, a year of Remain in Mexico has damaged enough human lives, hurt enough families, and chipped away far too much at our country's commitment to life, dignity, and protections that should be afforded to asylum seekers and refugees, end quote. That again from El Paso Bishop Mark Seitz. So that being a lot of significant things happening this past week when it comes to security and border protection. There are a couple other bright lines of what's happening here in terms of infrastructure. We did have El Paso Water Utilities, or El Paso Water, basically announcing that they're going to be doing some specific infrastructure upgrade projects here from our news partners on the El Paso Herald-Post. Aging EP water infrastructure to undergo vital rehab and upgrades. Specifically, 3 sectors are going to be targeted. Basically, Sunset Heights in general, because They have lots of pipe replacements, wastewater systems, all that stuff really needing to be retrofitted at this point. They're also going to be targeting the Haskell Street Wastewater Treatment Plant and the Robertson Umberhauer Water Treatment Plant. So that will be good in the long run, but remember, in the meantime, that'll be some ripped up roads and some hassle potentially for your commute. So pay attention to what El Paso Water Utilities is putting out there as well. Or again, El Paso Water. So I want to say El Paso Water Utilities because that's what they were for the longest time. They're pretty often putting stuff out on Twitter on what road closures will be. So if you think they're coming to your area and your sector, be sure you know what's going on. And one other thing, infrastructure-wise, we did, of course, have some upheaval within the local TxDOT district office with the head departing kind of suddenly, and according to El Paso Times previously, potentially subject to a criminal investigation. That's a mess. But in the meantime, there is now a new district engineer for TxDOT in El Paso. That person being Thomas Trevino, and he's recently arrived in town this past week. There was a luncheon with the Central Business Association recognizing and kind of welcoming him to town. So we'll have to see. I mean, there's a whole lot of projects, better part of $1 billion of projects going on right now. I know you definitely felt some of those impacts because the roads are messed up in a lot of places, but again, growing pains, something that you got to get through if you want it to improve, otherwise it's only going to get worse as roads continue to degrade. So hopefully you'll be continuing his focus on that and hopefully making sure all the projects that were going on continue apace because they definitely and immediately needed out there. So welcome to town. Hope you can get the handle of it here quick. Some background on Thomas Trevino from TxDOT.gov. You're in his bachelor's degree in civil engineering. Check this I think it's A&M, it says A&I University, that might be a typo. In 91, he worked for the Washington Department of Transportation in Seattle before coming to TxDOT in 92. So been with TxDOT in some capacity since 1992. One other thing I want to mention, kind of on the side of infrastructure, is this is kind of a fun thing. Wet n Wild announcing that they're going to be doing an expansion as well. They broke ground on a new attraction here that they're hoping to be ready for the 2020 season. Wet n Wild, of course, closed until May here, but they'll be coming back here, adding a new slide here. That'll be one of their tallest ones. And on 3,700 Talk El Paso, thank you again to our guest, Patrick Hernandez Figueroa. If again, wanting to vote in that election, the primary coming up, make sure you're registered to vote. And then also, be sure to tune in next week where we'll complete our series on the Texas 16th Congressional District GOP nomination race with